Good morning, good day, or maybe a good evening. I don't know what is the time when you watch the show, but anyway, we congratulate you again in our weekly Moneylogy show together with Father Aramek. Hi, Avala.
Hi everybody.
This is the show where we each time share our own experience, our own thoughts, and tips for you if you're interested in reaching financial freedom. So, the topics like personal finance, investing, entrepreneurship are discussed here. And if you are the ones who are interested in these topics, just watch our show. And also, you can, of course, watch our previous shows on our public channels like Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. And today in our show, we would like to discuss the topic which is quite understandable from the perspective of business, because each time when businessmen wants to see where we are financially, they ask for from their accountants to give them financial statements. But at the same time, this is the topic which is also important for personal individuals if you want to get the same understanding where we are financially. So, Ola, what are your thoughts about these financial statements, and what are financial statements actually, which people should also be having as individuals?
Well, I think the financial statement in a simple step actually starts from tracking your financials. And when I'm thinking back of my own experience, then I actually started tracking my income and expense something like 15 years ago. There used to be a program called Microsoft Money, where I was putting all the expenses and revenues and everything there. And it gave me some kind of good understanding where I'm standing. But it really changed my mind when in 2008, when I played first time the cash flow game. And I said, okay, because I have the financials already done, what happens if I put the finances to the cash flow game financial statement, which is basically a personal financial statement. And then I realized that yes, I knew my income and expense, but I wasn't aware that I didn't own any assets. And this really like opened up my mind, is that okay, if I want to get out of the rat race, if I want to be financially free, I need to start acquiring assets. And it really started from seeing the void, or seeing the gap in my financial statement, that I was missing something, which actually is the name of the game, which is cash flow.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's my beginning.
Actually, my story is pretty much the same, because I also started to follow and monitor my finances like maybe 15, 16 years ago, and it was simple program which I was using. Also, it was called Home Accountant, by the way. But actually, like you said, also just keeping your finances at place, or planning your finances for a monthly period, it's not enough, because the general picture is much broader one. And if you look to the statements which are used by investors to evaluate the results of a company, or by these business owners also as well to get the same understanding, there are much more than just income and expenses. And actually, we even present this in our Starfish vocabulary part today, because financial statements are formal records of financial activities and position. It doesn't matter, is it business, person, or other entity. And as you can see, there are at least several of them. And at the same time, I would say that this is actually the report card, or a grade book which banker wants to see from the individual after the person finishes school, because this is actually the main answers hidden here for the bankers, if they are willing to get the money, give the money to this person or not. So what would be basically this main financial statements you would think people would need to have on their own? Doesn't matter if it have business or not.
Yeah, because basically there are like three different statements, right? There's the profit and loss statement, and there's a balance sheet, and then the statement of cash flow. So I think as a business, you as a person need all three as well. And it's really surprising, because what I've seen over the years, and also my own experience, I was working as a CEO, I was doing financial statements like every year, but yet I had never thought about to do it for myself in a level which was in the business. And also, over the years, I met several people who are professional auditors, who are owners of the accounting companies, and who have never done personal financial statement. This really, boggles my mind, because we think we know about it, but then we just don't do it for ourselves.
Exactly.
So I think really the key is to at least have a balance sheet, and understanding, what are my assets and what are my liabilities, because at the end of the day, you want assets putting money in your pocket, and if you don't have any assets, then you better start acquiring them.
Exactly. I would add also that even accountants of the business companies don't keep personal statements for themselves as well, because, like you said,
Yes.
quite a few people only realize that it is also the same important as having a financial statement for their businesses. And actually, I would say it is even more important because the main business which you have is yourself. So you need first of all to start keeping your finances and knowing really exact picture of your own financial situation, and only then of your business and maybe some investment and so. So this is for the reason why we also show here different statements. And as Valo also already mentioned, there are different parts. So first of all, it's income and expense statement. Which is usually, at least in some forms, exists in individuals' lives. But also there is a balance sheet which shows you exactly the difference between assets which you own and liabilities which you have, or even maybe don't realize that you have them. But I would say that the third one is also very important. This is cash flow statement, which shows you how your money flows. And more importantly, it even shows what is the quality of your money, because probably, Valo, you would also agree that passive income, which is a part of the total income which you have, shows the quality. Because let's say if you have zero passive income in your total amount of income, the quality of the money is totally different than, let's say, somebody who has at least 50% of passive income consisting from the total income.
Yeah, I would say also that it I mean the statements are important, but it's also important that we put the right things in the right columns. And maybe it's a topic for another lesson, but sometimes what people do is that they put their own house where they live, they put it as an asset, and it gives the wrong feeling, like they already had an asset. And if you look at it by the right definition, then suddenly realize, wow, actually I have zero assets because I just misunderstood what an asset is. So before you can calculate your cash flow statement properly, you need to have the balance sheet with the right vocabulary. That's why we have this show to talk about Starfish vocabulary.
Exactly, I totally agree in it, and I see quite often people even falling to some, stress when you say them that your home is not an asset. Actually, it's liability, and especially in some other countries where liabilities are called by different terms. Let's say in Lithuania, the liability is called passive. So for them, it's even more confusion, because we talk about the passive income, and actually passives appears not the ones who generates a passive income, but actually who takes your money passively or actively.
Yes.
So it's even more confusing then, and people really have these mistakes where to put them in this financial statement. So this is for probably the beginning. So this is probably why we say that very first step in order to step on the journey towards your financial freedom is to know where you are. So basically filling your financial statements with the numbers you have now to get the understanding what is your current picture. And doesn't matter is it good or bad, but this is actually the situation you have now. The good thing is that you can change it anyway. It doesn't matter what is the situation now.
Yeah, I would say, Yurish, that I think there are two parts. One part is that you know where you are, which is really the essential. I mean, without that, you can't change anything. And the second is that you should have at least an idea what the financial statement should look like. And if you have an understanding that having a high income is not enough to be financially free, and you need to start acquiring assets, and then you start thinking about, okay, what is my plan to start creating the assets, then you're on the way. But before you understand where you are, and before you understand how it should look like and what's missing there, then it's really really difficult to make any improvements.
Exactly. That's why I believe we can even give some small gift to our audience, because below we show in the comments, we will post the link where you can basically find the online version of this financial statement, and you can just fill in and see where you are, and test the numbers and see how it changes your situation. But this is exactly the first step, and of course, knowing what to fill and where to fill, and not lying to yourself, because it's also quite easy to fill the numbers not the right way it is exactly, and then see, okay, my situation is pretty good, but actually it's not. So just don't lie to yourself, fill in the numbers you have now, and then just look for the next steps, how to change if the situation is not the one you want to have.
And if you don't know what's your situation, then you can take this month and just putting the expenses and income down, and also putting your loans and assets there, and then at the end of the month you have a clear picture, and then you're on the way.
And of course, if you try doing it and you have some questions because still you don't know what to put where, just ask our questions below our videos, and we will be more than happy to include it to our upcoming shows, as well as topics which are important for you. So if you have suggestions for the topics which are important for you, feel free, comment below the videos. Doesn't matter is it recorded one or live, and we will definitely plan it in the future shows. And you can find all our previous shows, like I already said, in 3 channels. So it's Facebook, Starfish Academy. You can find us very easily. Also YouTube, Starfish Academy, and Instagram TV, where you can find extracts of the show. So follow us on these 3 channels wherever you like the most, because here is the places where we basically share not only Moneylogy shows but also other content which can be valuable for you. And like I said, if you have any questions, just plan the time to comment it below the videos, and of course participate live, because if you participate live, then it's much easier to answer your question, basically to clarify it, or you can actually ask more questions right away. Okay, so anything else you want to add, Valo, about financial statement?
Yeah, I think today's show is pretty important because it's really the beginning of everything, and everything starts with the financial statement. If you have never done it before, it's really hard to make any changes. So you need to understand where you are, and you should really pay attention to the asset column, because if the first time I saw and realized that to win the game in my real life, I need to have assets that puts money in my pocket, and then just seeing a blank reality that I have zero, it really put me to move and open up my mind that I need to make some changes, and I need to really start learning about this. So maybe somebody who does it for the first time and sees also no assets, gets also excited to change it. So yeah, I think it's an important step.
Indeed, indeed. By the way, you also reminded me of my own lesson when I filled in the financial statement for the first time. My opinion was that I actually have something in my asset column, and it was there, but there was nothing what could produce cash flow towards my income column, because the only assets I was having there was some mutual funds, pension funds, and maybe some savings in my bank account, but none of these could produce additional stream of incomes, passive income towards my income column. And this was actually the alarm clock for me that I need to do something to change the situation. Otherwise, it doesn't matter that I have some savings and I have some mutual funds investments. If something happens with my main income, I will be in quite a bad situation, because I will be forced to maybe sell my mutual funds, and not for the best price. And this was like a mind changer for me to start looking for the assets which could produce the cash flow for me in the future.
I think it's a great example of vocabulary, because pension fund is a great kind of confusing idea, because it actually takes money from your pocket, and if you look at the definition, then for the probably 20-30 years it takes money from your pocket. It's not even an asset. It maybe will become an asset eventually, but looking at the current financial system, then there's maybe not much there anyway. So I think this is one of the things where people think they have something, but actually it doesn't bring any money in the pocket.
Exactly, I totally agree. So just try to fill in your financial statements, find the link below the video, and ask questions. If you have any questions, just ask them, and we will include them in our upcoming shows, which happens all the time the same way. The same time, the same day. It's Tuesdays, so watch the show live or recorded versions. And if it's valuable for you, just give us likes, give us shares, and your comments also shows that these videos can be valuable for you. We will see you in the next show next Tuesday. Thank you, Valo.
Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.